Hi, so what we're going to do for this video is we're going to talk about the fan. We've done fan before, so a lot of you are very familiar with it, but for this video we're just going to talk about the grip and the opening and closing. And in another video I'll do the actual form, a breakdown, move by move. So the grip when the fan is closed will be pretty much like you're holding a kitchen knife ready to cut. Actually, a real chef holds a knife like this, so not quite like a real chef, but like a home cook would do. And so the fan is going to be, if you align it vertically, you're going to grip it here with, again, the tiger's mouth of the hand right there, or the part right in between the thumb and index, will lay across the top tine of the fan, okay? And then allow the fingers to gently wrap and the thumb and index finger to come in contact with each other right there. So that's the grip, basically. Now you want the fan to, it's not in your hand like this, but there's a bit of an angle to it. And so it's actually going to align itself in an angle in your palm, okay? So that the butt end of the fan is going to be resting pretty much right there. You're not going to hold it too high up. You don't want. There's times when we're doing a downward strike where that should stick out, and there's an adjustment to make for that. But most of the time, it's going to be right in there. And the idea is that when you open the fan, that this curvature right here that you see sets into the palm of your hand and rests there, so that you have very little to do in terms of gripping with your thumb and fingers, and it's mostly resting in the palm. And in fact, that ridge that you get is going right down the fold. If you fold your hand like this, it's going right through that part right there. So you have to play with that a little bit to where when you open it, that it winds up right in that spot. And if you hold it too high like this and you try and open it, that will be off of your hand or maybe just on the heel, and it's really awkward to control. So that's what we're looking for. You want to practice holding the fan and just, I know this seems really easy, but it's important to get comfortable with that position so that you get the feel of it and how the weight of the fan is working. So it's easy enough to grip it like this, but it's another thing to be so comfortable with it that if you're off a little bit, you can get back to it by making some adjustments as you're doing the form. Okay. So when the fan is open, like I say, that ridge goes into that fold, into that crease, and you want the thumb and the index finger kind of coming together on this first tine right here. So they're going to have a little bit of a grip like this, okay, lightly, and then you can see how the fingers are fanned out on the opposite side. So I'm not together and I'm not clawing it like that, and they're just giving enough pressure to support the fan. I'm not pushing with them because then my hand's going to cramp and get tired. So, and the thumb isn't really, we're not squeezing too hard. Mostly our grip is right there. You can see I'm holding the fan between the thumb and the index finger, and the other three fingers are there just to stabilize the fan and keep the direction where you want it. Okay. So the action of opening it now is we're going to establish that grip with the thumb and index finger, and then practice by letting gravity do the work and open, and then bring your other fingers into play to stabilize. Okay? So that's a downward close, and it's very simple. Let gravity do it for you. I'm just kind of getting it started a little bit and letting the rest happen. Now later, you can flick it a little bit more and get a nice loud pop. Probably peep the audio in the camera. But for now, just there. Now to close the fan, you can dip it down a little bit like this, and then just bring it back to where this is going backward and not straight up. And the rest of the momentum from that will bring everything in, and if your fan's broken in properly, it'll all close. So we have it open, and then I'm just going to bring it back and let go, and then close my hand around it. And then I want to get to where I can open it and close it to where it comes back to that position, so the next time I open it, I'm back in that nice nested spot right there. Okay? So we have opening vertically and closing. And you can see the angle that I've got the fan at right there. it's bad. So if I try and close it and keep this tine vertical here, I've got to catch it and pull it back with my fingers, and that's not going to work too well. So that's opening and closing. Now when you do horizontal, it's a little harder. You don't have gravity to help you. You have to do a wrist flick. But the rest of it's the same. And you've got to be careful not to do what I just did and have the fan actually hit you, trying to show it on camera. So you want to start with it, the fan out like this at an angle. I don't know if you can see that. Not pointing straight the direction of your arm, because if you open the fan there, now it's coming back at you again. So that's no good at all. So what we want to do is start with the wrist bent back, and then we're going to give it a flick and then keep our wrist straight, so that when the fan's finished opening, it's not catching us in the stomach. So like that. Now then, we'll let it go a little bit this way, and then close it as the same thing as before. In a little way, it's easier because you're not fighting gravity. So that's opening and closing horizontally. So you have vertical open and close, horizontal open and close. And of course in forms, a lot of times it'll be a diagonal, which is sort of kind of in between the two. But just practice the vertical one until it's really comfortable. And then the horizontal one until that's really comfortable. And that's pretty much it for the opening and closing and the grip. The only other time the grip changes is if I'm doing a striking move with the butt end of the fan, I will bring the fan like this for that moment, and then bring it back, and I'll just use my fingers to kind of manipulate the fan to come in here. You see that in block down, parry, and punch. There's the block down and then in there. So we'll detail that kind of variation when we get into the form details. But that's opening and closing for now, and that's it. Pretty much everything else with the fan is just following the technique of the form, whether it be Yang style Tai Chi or Shaolin Long Fist or something like that. All your principles are going to be based on that style. So the fan will behave pretty much the same way in any form. And when it's closed, it's either a stabbing kind of thing, or it's a striking, or strike with the butt end, or there's hooking techniques for trapping and stuff. So we'll get into that specifics when we get into forms. And that's it for now.